I'm Kathleen Hall, and this is the way I see it.
I'm Ken Pierre, and this is the way I see it.
And again, our new twist sign,
Twist.
the way I see it. Hashtag the way I see it. And you can get a hold of us at the beginning. We can do this. What?
Yeah, we can.
Did you introduce yourself yet?
No, my name is Ken Pierre. It's the way I see it as well.
Tag team.
I was just so excited because
we were wrestlers in our first relationship, so we're used to the tag team. You know, what can I say? You don't want to know what I look like.
She's funny.
Amazon woman.
Amazon, what is a wrestling name? Amazon woman. No, well, we're so excited about our hashtag twist. Like,
Yeah.
we just want you guys to give us feedback and become interactive with us because we can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
And it taught us, we learned compassion and forgiveness and patience with FedEx.
FedEx.
Oh my God! Times we went
we're not gonna badmouth.
We're not gonna badmouth them.
Peace
but,
to FedEx.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We don't want to go into the
We're
gun
not.
thing and what FedEx has done. But
We're not.
that's okay.
We're
not going to go into that. What we're going to talk about today is the Olympics. Just got over the Winter Olympics in South Korea. I think it's interesting that when they got the Olympic bid many years ago, we did not know that the hostilities and
tensions
rising. Would be rising. And he knows Korea much better than I do because
Definitely.
He was there, the DMZ?
I was at demilitarization zone. I was there 2006 to 2007. And I thought I was going to die every day because you just never know with North Korea. They have a 1 million-man army, and they pretty much could walk down the peninsula and destroy everybody without like ever having like any real force because they're a powerhouse.
So he knows North and South Korea very well.
Very well.
But what I want to talk about, before we got too far away from the Olympics, since they just ended Sunday, is lessons learned. That I think instead of just observing the Olympics and saying, oh, aren't they great? Aren't they special? Gosh, they were a prodigy. That I think each of us can really take their lessons in life. I really do. And I think there's some great lessons to be learned. And so a few of them are, I think number one is it takes a village. And some people have been laughed at for writing a book or talking about it takes a village. But any of us who have succeeded in anything, and especially again with your background, you can't achieve anything without a village. And that these people stand on those podiums with the flag around them, with the medal on them. And I don't think for 1 second, do you think that they have an illusion of making it alone? And it's a really kind of a perverted, sick message that we have in our nation, and especially in the West, of fierce independence. Yeah. Do it yourself. Look what you're made of. If you're not the lead dog, the view's the same. No, if you're not the lead dog, the view's the same from everybody behind you. True. So yeah, all those kinds of euphemisms that we say all the time. So I grew up with fiercely independent family of entrepreneurs, and it was never, ever. It takes a village was never a concept in our family. It was take Pork Chop Hill and buy yourself and do all this. And so anyway, I wanted to say that I think that's the first lesson, and you learned that early in life, I'm sure, at the military.
Even before the military, because when my dad died, it was just me and my sister and my mom, and without them, I don't know where I'd be. Like they were my support. They were my mom was the person that follow these. Right. We don't have anybody else. We got to do this. Right. We're the village. You are the village. We support each other. So I learned that, and then being in the military, without proper planning and strategic intel, we would that we get from the other village, then we wouldn't be able to complete missions.
It's critical. Yeah, I mean, so that speaks for itself. And when we look at people like Bezos, who's the head of Amazon, and people will look at these CEOs or these iconic leaders, and they will be the first, I think, that when you agree, the first to say that they have to make unbelievable decisions, but they totally rely on the village.
Of course.
And they help create that village, but it does take a village. So I think that's, to me, the lesson number one that we can all absorb and take from the Olympics. Second is live an intentional life. These people were searingly focused on a goal. They had their life tethered to that goal. Everything around them, from their family to school to everything, their bodies, their minds, their souls, their scheduling. So I think live an intentional life. Don't you think that they epitomize what an intention is when they got a snowboard and looked and said, I want to do that. Or they got their first ice skates and said, I'm going to do that.
Every Olympian, I feel, should have a registered trademark just floating right next to them.
Yeah.
Because they epitomize it. They're the grassroots.
That's true.
Like, sheesh.
I
The
didn't think
commitment, the
I
dedication.
didn't think about that. They do. They epitomize live an intentional life.
It's a true champion.
So please, and I found something when I was researching something about the word intention too, about the difference between a dream and an intention. Because I thought about when they were being interviewed on the Back Life, when they were being, these Olympians were being interviewed, and they talked about the backstory of each of them. And a lot of them use the word dream, goals, they use different words woven together. But if you think about it, when I dream about being something, or I dream, it really is like a floaty, a
wish list.
A wish list, exactly. That's a very good point. A wish list. Whereas when you say intention, in within me, intention, and every cell of my body corresponds or journeys through that. So I think it's really important. So live an intentional life. First, it takes a village.
Definitely does.
Second, live an intentional life. And I think third is really important is discipline. And they're incredibly, obviously, disciplined people. But a lot of I've been very blessed to be on many television shows and newspapers and magazines. And without fail, a lot of times people will say, what do you really think it takes to be success? If you could only name one thing, successful or happy. And I always say discipline. It is. I have seen people that are rich, that are good looking, that are whatever they've done, that they come from a wealthy family, they're entitled. But if they don't have self-discipline, if they don't have discipline, they waver through lives. Yeah, the wheels fall off. It's the glue. It's the taproot, discipline. It's not a word very popular these days. It's not a word we use very often. But I think that this group of Olympians are reminding us about discipline.
I want to speak on discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was in the military, I pretty much grew up in the military. I grew up 19, going into the military. And discipline was instilled from that age. But when I got out of the military, I didn't want anything to do with the military. I wanted to leave all the values of the military. I had disdain for it.
It's kind of like leaving your family.
Exactly.
When we leave our families and go,
I'm going to do what I want.
yeah, that's interesting.
I definitely need all that back. Because it's just like when you grew up and you can't have candy. Or you couldn't do something that everyone else was doing. And when you do it, I see why I need this.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Let me go back to know what I was raised to do. So that comes.
So now you're rebounding on those values.
Because you see where you were in the place, everything was put together. But when you're out here doing whatever you want, life happens and
again, just instead of a word, I'll use discipline as an example. So when I don't feel like walking, I don't wait till I feel like walking. I get out there, look at the clock, and go, that's 30 minutes a day, and it has to be done. Eating. When you want to eat a certain thing and you know you shouldn't eat it, it's 10 o'clock at night. Discipline is, you know what? I'll have a little bit of milk or something or some cheese and go to bed, and then I'll have a great breakfast in the morning. Discipline, don't you think? Whatever part it is, even in relationships, I really don't feel like calling my mother or my sister or whatever. It's a discipline, so you go beyond what your emotions or other things that are going on. So discipline's important. And I think the final thing I realized with all those people, too, in the Olympics is showing up. The courage it takes to put on those skates, to get in that bobsled, whatever they're doing, to sit there and show up in front of millions of people. For each of us, I think the lesson is to show up. If you knew the people that I listen to on a daily basis, I wish I would have been lucky like them. I wish I would have had the athletic muscles, or they'll even go, I was born with short muscles, not long muscles. Or, I was never that smart. I was born with red hair. Whatever the excuses are, show up. I don't care if you want a promotion, if you want to, be in a marathon, if you want that job, if you want to, whatever you want to do, have the courage to show up. There really isn't a loss.
Crucial. It's crucial.
Yeah, it's crucial because you're going to lose. But if you never try,
you never know where you even would stand.
Exactly. I mean, how do you think these Olympians feel when they've spent their whole life, 20 years, and then all of a sudden their leg's broken?
Ugh.
Or they have a crushing injury with it, they can never do it again. Do they live, shoulda,